Voice of college football, 365 live here. I am Josh Neighbors. He is BT Brad Thomas. EJ Daniels should be joining us here in just a little bit. That's why we are separated the way that we are on the screen. So I'll have EJ here in a little bit. But Brad, you mentioned it when we were talking right before. You're like, dude, there's football this week.
Football.
There's college football. We've already had the pro preseason, and I'm loving it because like I love reading the articles. Like I saw one on CBS Sports, your great employer, one of your great employers, had said Deshaun Watson won the job. The Browns still lost. So we're already getting the think pieces. We're already getting articles like that. We'll get into some North Carolina stuff, but I saw Josh Pate talking about how the disaster at North Carolina has been kind of, persisting, and we're not even one game into season number 2 yet. And, I think there's actually some merit to that argument. So the big picture conversations are happening. The quarterback battles are getting settled. And look, is week 0 always the best indicator for how a season's going to go? I think 2 years ago, great indication that, Georgia Tech beating Florida State, yeah, maybe not as good as we thought they were.
Yep.
And then last year, Iowa State and Kansas State, not really the teams that we thought they were going to be. 2 top 20 teams, I believe, heading into that game. And then K-State fell off the train like crazy last year. Obviously Avery Johnson's family getting in the fight. And then also Iowa State, I know Matt Campbell's now at Penn State, but they were not a Big 12 champion, candidate the way that we thought they might be. But still, it doesn't matter because we will overreact because it's all we have to react to, right? Football's back this weekend.
I'm excited. Like, it's funny because we talk about these teams all off season. These teams are going to be drastically different, some of them, than we could even imagine. What I tell people who are looking at these games, temper your expectations on your team. Let them settle in because ultimately your team can go 3-0. They get into conference play and they might suck.
Dog might get walked.
Yeah. So I do, man. I just am happy to have football on our TV. What's our first early game? Like at 12 or something? Like,
yes.
Oh my God.
Yeah. We also, so this was smart with the scheduling this week. I think we got to give the schedulers some credit here because like I had a buddy text me and be like, why is there like this mid-season ACC network slop happening at 3:30 between UVA and NC State? It's because in a standard season, that game would be ACC slop, as EJ Daniels is now joining us. That game would be early or mid-season slop, CW, 3:30, 4 o'clock, whatever. But because it's on this weekend, 3:30 ESPN, that game's going to do a big number. Like, that's actually pretty smart scheduling because UVA was in the ACC title game last year. Look, they spun the wheel a lot and things came up, blue and orange last year, a whole lot for them in those close calls they had. And we saw it happen in the championship game. But I think that's a great game to put at 3:30 because if that game was happening week 10, week 9, October, November, we're not going to watch. But slot for it. Same thing can be said for TCU UNC. That's like a Friday night game, like a 10 o'clock, like a 9 o'clock Friday night game first week. Well, the fact that we're doing that in Ireland, I think it's a great situation too. So like the fact that we're getting games that aren't that big, but you know what, make them feel big this week because it's all we have.
No, it's funny because our barometer of excitement is very, very fragile, finicky, very sensitive, which means this could be the worst game of the season, and we will be excited to watch it.
Correct. I can't wait. EJ, you ready? Are you fired up for this weekend's contests?
I'm definitely fired up for this week's contest. I was sitting waiting outside for y'all, and I'm like, yo, what's going on? And then you talk about y'all going live. My bad, y'all. But yes, I am most certainly fired up for this week's contest. I'm a football junkie. I really been like going hard on the CFL, but now that college football is back,
you're hurting, brother.
I've been hurting bad. You don't know. I know all of the players that's going crazy in the CFL, bro. I've been waiting for some college football, but I heard y'all talking about North Carolina TCU. I believe that game's overseas, if I'm not mistaken, right?
It is. It's your Aer Lingus College Football Classic.
Yes, sir. I think I saw you put in the caption, is this a must-win for Bill Belichik? I want to say, excuse my language right now, but yes, it is a must-win for Bill Belichick because so far it's been a shit show over in North Carolina. Like literally, their GM got put on leave and nobody knows why. So yes, this is very much a game. Like, it doesn't even matter what TCU does. Like, all I want to see is how North Carolina come out, how they play. I know they got a quarterback out of the transfer portal. This game is all about Belichick. And then if they don't win this first game, this whole Belichick experiment and trying to bring him back for cachet and recruiting, it will be a massive fail. It will be as big a fail as Deshaun Watson being named starter for the Browns.
You actually hit on two things that we previously mentioned, which we were talking about. Brad, so I want to ask you about UNC. So one thing that's a harbinger of bad things to come for your program is bringing in Bobby Petrino as a offensive coordinator. Jimbo Fisher did that at Texas A&M and lost his job. Sam Pittman did that. Now, I think both of these moves, you could clearly argue the head coaches did not facilitate, right?
Yep.
This is you need somebody that, A, in case the head coach gets fired, has experience, and B, we know can coach some offense. Both those things are still true about Petrino. But I think bringing in Petrino shows one thing. It's that Bill Belichick in the NFL, for my money, his best quality was the way that he managed personalities and egos, much like a Phil Jackson did at multiple stops with Shaq and Kobe, much like he did with Jordan and Rodman and Pippen and so on. That's what Belichick did well with Gronk, with Brady, do your job, all that stuff. Mm-hmm. When you bring in a Bobby Petrino, that shows to me that you actually really never had that much acumen when it came to, do you bring something different to the game, right? We like coaches in college, whether it be Chip Kelly at Oregon a few years ago, whether it be Rich Rodriguez when he was at West Virginia, and even still now to some extent with the way he runs the spread option, like, who brings something new to the table. He didn't do that. So he doesn't do that schematically. And so if their roster is still kind of around what it was when Mac Brown was there, and the innovation for them is not improving, what was the entire point of the exercise, Brad?
I have no idea. What's interesting is, like, every time I've seen Bobby Petrino call an offense, he has like this dynamic quarterback who can bail him out of his bad offense. And like, they don't have that this year. I think it's going to be a slog offensively. I think Billy Edwards won the job. I think that's going to be Billy Edwards going to put up a crap ton of numbers, but it's because they're always playing from a losing position, not because it's an effective high level offense. Bill Belichick might have been the worst coaching hire for someone who had such a high football acumen. It is a dumpster fire in North Carolina, and maybe they surprise us. But right now, I think the level of surprise or the bar for surprise is pretty low for me.
I do not think they're going to surprise you at all, man. Like I said, I've mentioned this many times. My man Colin Cowherd, his big saying is he doesn't like noisy programs or noisy teams. And for a team that's not winning, they were entirely too noisy. Matter of fact, I kind of got to be a little bit careful with my words because there were 2 kids out of New Jersey. Matter of fact, they're all from the same school. 3 kids out of New Jersey, South Jersey to be specific, that all went to North Carolina this past cycle. And they all committed. And I was sitting there wondering, like, what in the world? Why are they all? So they flipped, actually. They both flipped from Boston College to North Carolina. And so it just got me to wondering, like, why is it that, all of these kids are wanting to flip and go to North Carolina all of a sudden? And I know why it is now. They believe that they're going to get the pro experience, right? They believe that Bill Belichick is going to put them on the track to become pros. And he very well might. But actual results say in the last draft, North Carolina did not have one player that was drafted this past year. That was from rounds 1 through 7.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so now I'm sitting there asking myself as a football lifer, okay, what is Bill Belichick bringing to the table that is going to attract recruits, make them surprise us, something? And this is a great example, to Brad's point, of how much differently the pro game is from the college game, and it requires a different level of personality. The best thing, as you know, Brad, that Nick Saban did was realize that he was not equipped to coach pros.
Yep.
And that wasn't in his DNA. And stayed in college, and now he's probably the greatest college football coach to ever live, right? And I think that's the same kind of situation with Bill Belichick. He's giving it a shot. this first game will give us a real barometer of like where they're at. But like to me, I don't feel like he's equipped. He himself. And then you just talked about the people he's bringing in. He himself and the people that he brings in and trusts, they're not equipped to coach these young men.
Are you referencing his girlfriend? Because I mean, it sounds like she's way too much.
I'll explain to y'all off air why I gotta be like very careful. I have to be objective, but I gotta be real careful with what I'm saying.
Sure.
Yeah, no.
Well, here's what I'll say about Belichick, because last year it was pretty common knowledge that when he was doing his book tour, he had nobody from the book company with him, which like that's kind of weird. When you're at a book, you publish a company with you. She is the only person with him on the interview circuit. And also, not only that, she is interjecting during football related questions.
Yes.
And not only that, they have previously talked about how they had met. And all of a sudden, during one interview with CBS, she goes, "We're not talking about that." Well, you already have talked about it. So, like, if you want to raise more questions about it and make it look weird, and you know, it's funny because this is a cycle the last 2 years that has seen the do your job crew, Mike Vrabel and Bill Belichick, have more off-season. This is more off-season, you know, shit, you know, before I said a word, than we've actually seen out of maybe the entire Belichick administration, besides Deflategate, which was an on-field situation. But like, there are cracks in the do your job armor right now via both those coaches. And I think if you can't hold up that facade, like the EJ saying, like the whole we're doing the pro thing in college, when your GM, who you might have sent to Saudi Arabia, then gets put on the sidelines for reasons that we're not super sure about, you're bringing in Petrino, which like I think it's a good move, but also has been a death knell of the last two coaches who have done it. And also, when we're like, okay, what's this roster do? Yeah. You're gonna have, you know, Big Billy from Wisconsin come in and play quarterback. Like, is this what we're doing? Is this the plan? Look, TCU and Sonny Dykes might be ripe for the picking week one. We've seen it happen before. Deion Sanders in Colorado got the "Do You Believe" off against Sonny Dykes and TCU. So we've seen it happen to them before. But also, Carolina 7.5-point dogs, Brad. So this is. Vegas thinks this game might go one way. Could we see a throwback masterpiece? We might, but I think the idea the entire season's about to take this Belichickian turn towards the better. I think we're all skeptical of that, aren't we?
Yeah, I'm so skeptical. I think if TCU doesn't get caught up in the moment, right, opening the game of the season, they should just dog walk them.
Yeah, I'm with you. Same thing, EJ?
Yeah, like I said, right now, until North Carolina shows me a better product on the field, I can't get with it. And then, like, even go back to last year, right? They opened the season last year. I can't remember. Did they win that opening game? I can't remember.
Does it matter?
It don't matter. But I can't remember. I thought they got blown out though.
They did. They did
exactly. They got blown out. Gio Lopez was the starting quarterback, and they got dogged walking that game, coming right out. Yep. And everybody like me, you know, thought the whole Belichick thing was about to, you know, be a turn for North Carolina, and it was not. And I was massively disappointed. So, I mean, look at history. I always go off of what history says, and history says like they don't do good in these opening games. So, there's no reason for me to pick for them in this point in time.
They lost by double digits in 6 of their I'm not sure how many power conference games they played last year, but TCU 48-14, UCF 34-9, Clemson 38-10. They lost 21-18 to Cal. They lost 17-16 to UVA.
And then they beat Syracuse at the end of the year, though, didn't they?
They did on October 31st. They won 27-10, and then they beat Stanford 20-15. So they had 3 wins. They had 20-3 over Charlotte, 27-10 over Syracuse, 20-15, and then they scored 15, 25, and 19 in their final 3 games. They had one of the worst 20 offenses in all of college football last year. Obviously, why Petrino is in there now, but they went 4-8 last year. So I think, look, like the reason why we're giving Bill Belichick this much time is because he has earned it. He is the greatest. He might still be the greatest coach in the history of the NFL. He might be. All right. I'm not sure whatever you want to assign him that. He is not one of the best football coaches walking the planet right now. And that goes to show you guys that it can go in a cinch. And I think Nick Saban EJ mentioned this as well. The same way he got away from the NFL is the same way he left college, where he saw the game changing, asked himself, do I want to adapt? And said, no, I'm out of here. Yep. Bill has said, I want to stick around to see if I can make this thing happen. And he's piling up L's in his last few years of his administration.
I would say this. I wouldn't say he's not a great coach, right?
I think he was a great coach. I would say he's not currently.
Right. Like currently, he still is a great coach. If I'm building an NFL roster or even a collegiate coaching roster, I still would take Bill Belichik. I think yes, absolutely. I would, because he got relationships, and relationships are what matter in recruiting a lot of the time.
4-8 last year, though.
I know. I don't have a leg to stand on, but he do have the relationships and the cachet. I'll give him that. But his issue, and I knew this was an issue back in his ending tenure at the Patriots, when he started, drafting players like Cole Strange in the first round. One of the biggest knocks on Belichick is he takes his relationships, to a fault over talent, and you can see that, when he was drafting, right, making a lot of those draft calls, even with N'Keal Harry, like that pick. A lot of people didn't like N'Keal Harry coming out. Obviously, he was a beast at, I believe, Arizona State. Right, but he couldn't separate. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people didn't want to take him first round. He was a good player, but he wasn't first round worthy. So, going back to this situation with North Carolina, I know it's the same thing. He's leaning on his relationships and how the game used to be, rather than, living in this time right now. I'll give him credit for structuring it in a way that it has an NFL type vibe, where they got a GM and they got a front office and all those types of things, and they don't have issues paying players. But in terms of like recruiting and the types of players that he's trying to get, like, obviously it hasn't been a thing. But I just wouldn't say that he isn't a great coach. Like I said, I just don't think he's well equipped at this moment in time for the collegiate game the way it's currently constructed.
All right, so this weekend also, we mentioned NC State, UVA. I just mentioned that in passing. I'm not going to want to say a whole lot about that game. So USC is going to host San Jose State on at 3:00 on NBC. Guys, this is a good moment for us to catch up. And how are we all feeling about Lincoln Riley at USC? Like, I like Lincoln Riley. Is he just okay? Here's what I'm asking: if Tom Herman goes to Oklahoma as opposed to Texas, and he replaces Bob Stoops, is Tom Herman's career a whole lot different than Lincoln Riley's is right now? Brad,
man, probably.
Do you understand? Do you think so? Like, do you understand what I'm getting at? Like,
yeah.
The one thing is, we've watched Caleb Williams with the Bears have to learn how to play offense because Lincoln Riley had zero ideas about how to run an offense besides Caleb. Do your thing, buddy. When they were down 28-3 against Texas and Caleb came in, there wasn't much game plan.
No, there wasn't. Caleb, go be Caleb.
Caleb, go be Caleb. And so, like, that's great for getting those good players. And I think Jordan Mailata is. But USC has fallen victim in their time to the Big Ten, the same stuff that everybody else has, the East Coast, West Coast stuff.
Yeah.
The same way, EJ, I would argue Oregon has not, right? How does Lincoln Riley this year bridge the gap, Brad, and I'll go to EJ after this, but become more of a Dan Lanning at USC than what's happening besides the recruiting? Because I think they're not.
I don't think he can, because I think the difference between the two is Dan Lanning is really good at balancing his roster and making sure his roster has control of the game, not just a good quarterback, but a legitimate rushing attack that is winning in the trenches, led by a good offensive line. And then on the other side of the ball, Dan Lanning's done a really good job of getting a defensive line that can get after the quarterback and stuff the run, where we haven't seen ever have we ever seen that from Lincoln Riley. And it's because Lincoln Riley has prioritized, like you said, the quarterback position, the offense, the explosive stuff. Explosive plays are nice, but you need those consistent 3 to 5 yard plays to start the down, right? You don't want to get behind the chains, which USC does often, which makes life harder for the quarterback.
Yep. Also, I would add to that too, why he isn't like Dan Lanning. I'm not saying that USC doesn't have a national brand, because they do. But, Oregon just got I believe they just got another recruit out of Ohio. And I believe that's like their 20th different state, or 19 or 20th different state that they've gotten a recruit out of. USC don't have, they can get recruits, but they can't get recruits like that. That's why you don't see as much parity. Secondly, like Brad said, like Lincoln Riley has always prioritized offense in the quarterback position, right? So going back to kind of paralleling Lincoln Riley and kind of Bill Belichik, like Lincoln Riley has the relationships and the reputation of being a person who can build quarterbacks. And what is the biggest driver of team success? Quarterbacks, right? So he will continuously still be able to get the top quarterback, prospects to come to USC. He even got a recruit, I believe, and he's a defensive lineman, but Lincoln Riley got a recruit out of New Jersey. Aiden, I believe Luke Waffle he got him out of there. So it's just like he doesn't really prioritize defense. He can get recruits here and there, but offense is his thing, man. His track record is long. You got Caleb, you're gonna have Mayava, you got Baker, you got Kyler. Like that's a hell of a group of quarterbacks, right? And so if I'm a top quarterback recruit and I'm like, yo, where do I want to go to like be developed? Then I'm gonna go under Lincoln Riley. I know you don't really like him like that, but to me, as somebody who would be a recruit and see like, okay, where's my path to the NFL if I'm playing a quarterback position or even offense? Because look at Jacoby Lane. He's like the biggest player in preseason right now. Yeah. For the Ravens. Yeah. So that is why people mess with Lincoln Riley, because although he does not have as much college success in terms of putting players into the professional wherever he's been, whether it's been Oklahoma, whether it's been USC, even before that, I believe he was at Texas Tech, I believe. Don't quote me. Right. He was at Texas Tech. Right. He has a track record of putting players in the league, and that matters to recruits. Trust me. All y'all know it matters for recruits to know that they got a path and they got a coach that they can trust. So those two things will get him by, and it will continuously get him by for the duration of his rest of his college football carear. Yeah, he don't have to win a national championship, unfortunately. Right.
I think it's like because they have not made a playoff yet.
Yeah,
the last playoff appearance was during his and look. His record at USC actually is pretty good. Like 11-3, 8-5, 7-6, 9-4, which like they're if you're gonna say okay, Big Ten USC is 7-6, then they're 9-4, 7-2 in the league. That is we're starting to build in the right direction. All right, that is fair. The problem I have with Lincoln Riley is like you all are saying, do his teams look or feel materially different? Right? Like, is there a change on the defensive side of the football from back in the Alex Grinch days where you kept bringing Alex Grinch around and we're all like, why do you keep doing this? We know this guy is not an elite defensive coordinator. His defenses don't have good habits, and he's still bringing him around everywhere. And we're like, what is going on? Why is he doing this? And it's almost like I kind of wish Lincoln Riley just would go to the NFL, because I really do think that he could have a long – I think if you're going to pair him up with like a pretty good GM, like he could have a lot of success because – he's got that air raid mind, right? He comes from the tree of a lot of coaches who have gone and actually had offensive success coaching the NFL. Yeah. I think he's got good stuff. And Sean McVay, I think his first DC was Wade Phillips, right? So just like go get an old guy you can trust to run the defense for you, right? Like go get Wade.
Lincoln Riley did that. Didn't he get the young man, the coach Patterson, right? Who was from TCU, right?
I'm saying on a Gary Patterson. Yeah, I'm saying from a like NFL standpoint, go to the league and like you run the offense and go get a DC. The way some of these like Dan Quinn went and got his really good season in DC. He went and he got an offensive guy, kind of the flip side of that situation. I'm just thinking like we love Lincoln Riley's teams will be good, and yes, quarterbacks will always want to go play for him. But for as many Heisman trophies as he's racked up, and as many as he might still rack up, right? Jalen Hurts finished second. Baker won one. Kyler won one. And then I'm missing anybody?
Caleb.
Baker and Kyler. And then Jalen Hurts finished second. So, I mean, like,
Caleb.
Caleb right? Caleb. And Jalen, by the way, that's his best offensive season he had was at OU, right? So, give him some credit. But is that all it is? And I'm not saying we're going to learn anything this week, but is that all it is? And I don't think I'm going to feel any different this week. But EJ, you know better than us because you're not Pac-12 guy, but you're Pac-12 / Big Ten, new Big Ten guy. So I'm kind of wondering, is it going to change? Is this year going to be any different? Because he's still a young guy, but like, at what point do we start improving on defense?
I mean, I'll say this: he got a different DC in there And that DC seems to be getting revered by everybody, and they think that's going to be the fix.
Sure.
So what I'm saying is, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. At the very least, I'll give him an opportunity. I'll give his coaching hire that he brought in. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. And then on top of that, they can only go up from here. You know what I'm saying? Like USC's defense been bad for the last 2 years. I believe
the year before, especially last year, they got
like they've been like historically bad. So they can only go up from here. If they just not, giving up a shit ton of explosive plays, they'll be fine. You know what I'm saying? But I see your point about that, what you're making about Lincoln Riley, but you have certain coaches. He's a part of that coaching fraternity that's kind of untouchable, if you understand what I'm saying. The good old boys club. You know what I'm saying? Like the Urban Meyers of the world, right? Urban Meyer keep doing BS at every stop he been, but he keep getting jobs. That's what Lincoln Riley is a part of, right? And it also helps that he can develop college quarterbacks to go to the league, right? So when you got those two things, he has a lot of things working for him. Like I said, he don't have to win a national championship. I hate to say it, but he don't have to win a national championship because NFL scouts, NFL GMs, they can trust him to come to him for quarterbacks. You know what I'm saying? So like, he always will have that in his back pocket. And then in addition to that, yes, he runs that air raid system, but the difference between Sean McVay and Lincoln Riley is that McVay had the wherewithal to understand that he needs to change his offensive system over time.
Fair.
He couldn't keep doing the same things over and over again. If you remember, they always go back to that game where the Rams played the Bears on Sunday night and got embarrassed by Vic Fangio. Right. Yeah. Then he got in his bag and was like, oh, I got to change my offense. Lincoln Riley is not in a position where he has ever had to do that. You know what I'm saying? And if he went to the league, he would be in a position to do that. Totally. That's a different type of pressure that he will have to actually be a schemer. I'm not saying he's not a schemer. I'm just saying that he's not the level of schemer that Sean McVay is. That's all I'm saying. So.
Also, guys, the most expensive ticket on American soil this weekend is North Dakota State at hosting Jacksonville State at 5:30 on CBS Sports Network. That game kicks ass. Okay, that game kicks so much ass. Two FCS powerhouses. Obviously, North Dakota State has now moved up. Jacksonville State had done that before. So that game kicks ass. We love that. Can I interest you all in 7:30 on the CW? Florida State, New Mexico State. I mean, what are we doing? Also, a 10 o'clock game I like a lot on Fox. UNLV, Barry Odom. I love this game. The remnants are still there of what he did, even though he's at Purdue, should never have left. It's now Dan Mullen running the show there at UNLV, right? And he's done, he did such a good job. And they're hosting Memphis. Ryan Silverfield leaves, and obviously, but that Memphis team is they've still been the machine. So I love that game happening. So anything else pique y'all's interest? I know, Brad, you're going to have some kind of either currency, domestic, foreign, or Bitcoin on some kind of contest this week. So anything but the beak, Brad, for you.
I'm actually excited to see what happens in this Memphis UNLV game, right? Because we're waiting for this UNLV team to be a college football playoff team, right? I think Dan Mullen has shown he's got the chops to perform at a high level, got the chops to get the most out of their quarterback as well. But this is not going to be, I don't think this is a pushover. Like anybody should just think that Charles Huff is going to just produce a Memphis team that gets rolled out, gets flattened.
Right.
It's going to be actually a very different Memphis team in terms of defending, right? This is going to be a team that is going to try to vend at a higher level. But my problem with this Memphis team is how many players are different players this year. It is basically what the Southern Miss 2.0, right?
Yeah.
And
Arkansas became Memphis, and like this happened. Southern Miss became Memphis, Memphis became Arkansas, and then Southern Miss became Memphis.
Yeah, it's gonna be I think it's gonna be a dogfight at least in that first half. I think at least in that first half we're gonna see a dogfight, and we probably should see roll away. And just a team that could score a ton. And I don't care what you say when you are moving up in class, moving up in conferences, you're going to have some of that. Wow, it's a lot tougher than we thought moments. And I think that's where UNLV kind of flex their muscle. But man, don't be shocked if we see Memphis give them a game for at least a half.
And EJ, Charles Huff, man, is like, look, I'm glad he's getting a chance at Memphis because that guy has been a winning coach basically everywhere he's gone. And he's had to fight for it too, because the administration of Southern Miss was not treating him well. And so I think him at Memphis in that area of recruiting, man, people don't understand this. Memphis is the intersection of Tennessee, Arkansas, and Mississippi. And so they have had a tradition of getting really good players. And Charles Huff's a guy he was an ace everywhere he's been as a recruiter. EJ, I'm excited because I think Memphis is like the perfect opportunity for him.
Yeah, you guys served me up, Memphis. I was actually going to mention them just because Charles Huff, when he was at Southern Miss, he recruited a lot of players out of Jersey. Actually, he used to offer a lot of players out of Jersey too. He got one kid right now, Elijah Kinsler, that followed him from Southern Miss to Memphis, right? And he's going to keep doing, that same thing. He's got linemen, he's got running backs. So I make that point because he gets recruits all over on the low, though. And not a lot of people know that, Southern Miss was a solid recruiting stop for a lot of players, even up in the Northeast. You know what I mean? I used to see them all the time, just offering a bunch of kids out of the Northeast, but a lot of kids like Coach Huff. And so I agree with you, Brad. They're definitely going to give them a tough game. And then on the other side, with Dan Mullins, I'm really, let me choose my words very carefully. I'm an acquaintance with Coach Fran Brown, and Coach Fran Brown really loves Dan Mullins, right? And he wanted Dan Mullins to come to Syracuse. And, one of the things that, Coach Brown really loves about Dan Mullins is his ability to teach, how well of a coach he is in terms of being able to motivate. And that's one of Coach Fran's, mentors, right? So now with him being, the head coach of UNLV, I can only imagine like what he's doing for those young men in terms of getting them galvanized, in terms of getting them ready to go. This will be a tough game on both sides. Coach Huff, Coach Mullins, these are two tough, hard-nosed coaches.
They're two really good coaches. It's like two of the maybe two of the 5 best coaches we have in the G5.
Right, for sure. And it's gonna be a great G5 game for sure.
Also, to circle back to Lincoln Riley, at quarterback for UNLV, Jackson Arnold. So there's a blast. Yeah, there's a yeah. He's making the rounds. Also, did you all see Max Johnson won the job for Georgia?
Yes.
Which, like, how in God's name is Max Johnson still? I mean, God bless him, but he has started quarterback for 4 different teams now. He played for Ed Orgeron at the end of his time at LSU. He played for somebody else at the end of their time somewhere else too as well. Oh, Jimbo Fisher at the end of his time at A&M. And so it's funny to see that he is back in it. Any of these quarterbacking announcements come at you guys as a surprise? Anything catch your eye? Brad, I know it was Keelan Russell, I believe, is getting the nod for Alabama, which we knew was going to happen, right?
Yes. Listen, Austin Mack can throw the hell out of a football. He's big and got crazy size, but you don't go out there, make a financial investment in the highest rated quarterback that Alabama's ever recruited and have him sit for another year, especially when he flashed. So that one didn't catch me by surprise. And I also am not surprised by the timing of it. I know a lot of, I don't want to even say media members. I think it was more people on social media who just like to talk. Where like, if Alabama, he was so good, why did he take so long to win the job? But you want, the classic thing is you want your guy to go out there and kind of win the job. Like, you want the team to rally behind him. You want it to be like his team, not just give it to him because he's going to be good or he's going to be the future of your team. So I was really excited about that. I was actually surprised the 5-star freshman Tennessee quarterback, Faison Brandon, was going to be the starter. Man, freshman starter
in the SEC.
In the SEC, 0 college snaps. I know they're going to have a really good running game behind him to help him out, but man,
the problem I have with that offense at that pace is like it's a lot of opportunities to make mistakes.
A lot. He's going to have to be calculating in double speed because
I know the reads are pre-made in that offense, but like still,
no, that offense is.
It's not that hard to learn, but also like you're gonna like. When you're playing, the one thing is when they play tough teams, like this is why Georgia usually cripples them. You got man covered to the outside, and you can't create that box advantage that offense is so well known for, man. It's a little bit harder for you on the quarterback. We've seen it a lot. So I'm with you. I'm with you, Brad, on the idea of that. Anything EJ stick out to you quarterback wise?
Now I was gonna bring up Keelan Russell too. Brad stole mine. I just didn't think Keelan Russell needed to be in the competition. I thought he's shown enough.
Yeah,
to where like he should have just been not handed the job. I don't want to use that term, but like he was clearly the guy. To me, Austin Mack is a big physical guy who, like you said, can throw it really well, but he still needs time. I thought Keelan Russell, even when Ty Simpson went down in the playoff, I don't feel like Keelan Russell looked like he was out of place. Like he looked like, okay, I can come in and do some things. So, I love to see that he won the job, and I think Bama's gonna surprise a lot of people. I believe they're ranked 13th right now.
Yeah,
right. I don't think that they'll be at that spot at the end of the year. I think they'll be like more closer to the top 10, in my opinion. They might sneak into the playoff too.
Yeah.
Just a quick piece of news. Ahmad Hardy, you could probably argue the best returning running back in all of college football. Not going to play in week 1 for Missouri after he was shot in the leg this offseason. Yeah. People forget that happened. Also today in news of football players are tougher than us, the fact that he was going to try to give it a go week 1 after being shot in the offseason. These guys are extremely tough, so don't forget that, everybody out there. And then also Texas losing left tackle as well. That's a tough piece of news. So the things to keep in mind. All right, fellas. Brad, where can folks find you and your work and all of its variety as we get ready for week 0?
You can find me on X at Mr. Brad Thomas. We might put together some Twitter spaces for this college football season. If anybody's interested in sports betting, just go on X at Mr. Brad Thomas. Then you can find me on CBS HQ, as well as sportsline.com for CBS.
EJ.
And then you can find me at eDaniel77 on Twitter. I'm pretty, active there, especially with all the Oregon content and all the Oregon and Duck Nation. I mean, interacting with a lot of your favorite recruits too is kind of where my wheelhouse is. So yeah, follow me on there. You'll be very entertained.
You guys can find me on Twitter at @JoshNeighbors_. Also, Voice College Football Arkansas as well. KJ Jackson, your starting quarterback for the Hogs this year. We'll break that down this evening. Austin, Robbie, and I will have that. Also, you guys can find me on ESPN Plus this week. Richmond Spiders field hockey coming up.
Awesome.
We have that, so that'll be coming up on Friday as well. So once again, all the places. Same time, same place next week. We'll have football to break down, past and present. We're going for a full hour next week coming y'all's way here on the Voice of College Football 365 Live.